Greetings. Today we're going to talk about building stuff. I got a little helmet assist on Harrow here as I just received it. Got it up to 30 real quickly, but I've been asked a couple of times about how I go about figuring out builds for various frames. So we're going to look at Harrow. Um, as you can see, I've got a nice blank and empty grid to start working with, but our first task is not actually to start slotting in things, it's to look at what his abilities are. So just base kit, we've got Condemn, which does some CC on enemies and gives you some shields. We've got Penance, which sacks your shields and boosts reload rate, fire rate, and it's a heal whenever you do damage. Thurible sacks energy to grant energy on kill, and Covenant is the probably more famous ability, which makes you invulnerable for a couple of seconds, and then increases your crit chance, which is most often used in like Eidolon hunts. So I am not really a Harrow player, so I will be going about this relatively fresh. Also passive. Says overshield capacity is doubled, so we can get lots and lots of overshields on this guy. So there's a lot of shield interactions. There's a little bit of a healing going on in the penance here. And if we were to start making some notes here, we can bring in a little notepad here. And we can start saying, okay, so Harrow, lots of shields. Wants to get kills. And it looks like, at least in the first couple of things, Condemn scales with range, strength, some duration, and obviously everything is efficiency. We've got Penance, and I'm going to say that this is our candidate Helminth. And that's because if we look at it, it's doing healing, and if we maintain overshields throughout everything, we don't need healing. So we can actually just use Condemn to get a bunch of overshields, and then it seems like a very, very bad idea to sacrifice all of your shields for the most part, and then have to rebuild them from scratch. So I think Penance is probably our candidate Helminth slot. So we're actually not going to care what it scales with. Instead, we're going to move on and say Thurible. We gotta look back here. That doesn't have, it does have a radius, so it would scale with range, it would scale with ability, strength, and obviously duration as well. So we can go ahead and pull up our probably strength first of all, duration seems nice, and then range. And I think actually this is in order, right? Because we want Condemn to go further and hit more things, and then we want it to give us more shields. And then last of all, having the CC for longer is fine, but for the most part you can one-shot everything as soon as it's not moving. With Thurible, strength is probably the most important, followed by duration. Could be equal or swapped, I don't know. Covenant, we know that that scales with duration, first of all, is the thing that we really want, and strength. And it does have some sort of radius on it, but I don't know what it is, and so we're not going to worry about it. So we like range a little bit. We like strength a lot. We like duration a lot. Efficiency is okay. And I only say efficiency is okay because Thurible exists and is not replaced yet. So we're sitting here saying, okay, if we're looking at Thurible giving us a bunch of energy on kill, that can pretty much solve all of our energy woes, so we're not really too worried about having a ton of things. So we would want to cast like Condemn and then Thurible and then kill a bunch of stuff that was condemned. and that would give us all of our energy back, and then after that, we can kind of cast whatever. So let's go give ourselves a candidate build first. And if you notice, we have not applied any forma yet, and so we're going to be applying our first forma as part of the video just to walk through the build process. Okay, so aura-wise, we're starting off with a dash, so we don't really want to put steel charge or power donation or anything in like that. At least not yet, not until we put an aura forma in if we need to. Briefer Spite also seems terrible, really, because we're going to have overshields like all the time. Corrosive projections obviously are our easiest thing. Energy Siphon would be fine. The Sprint Boost would be fine. I'm thinking Energy Siphon, again, Thurible exists, so we probably don't care. Sprint Boost is... Probably these two are roughly equal in terms of just quality of life. Corrosive protection helps you kill things a little faster, but you're mostly going to be headshotting everything that's condemned, so you might not care about the armor loss. And move speed isn't going to be as important if you're jumping everywhere. So these days I've found that the auras don't seem to matter as much unless you're really, really going for something that you need grind power. Empty Arcane slot, let's go ahead and slot in our Arcane Energize. That seems useful. And let's grab... So we've already got something that's going to give us a ton of crit chance. We could boost that some more. Aegis would give us some shield recharge. But if we're all in overshields anyway all the time, then it doesn't matter as much. What if we were to go to... I mean, something like Arcane Pistolier wouldn't be bad. Just giving us hilarious ammo efficiency for things, although we could already do that with the Nell as is. Let's go with Arcane Precision for now. This is going to be an option slot. I don't think we're going to care too much about what's here, other than the fact that we have something existing. Okay, now what are we looking at most of the time? So a lot of my builds, I look at tank things, and so you're going to see a lot of, you know, Umbral Vitality and Umbral Fiber. This is not one of those times. I think the fact that we, you know, have a decent amount of armor could, you know, obviously just slot these in so you can see what the values are going to be. Going up to 500 is, yeah, it's fine. So we would go from 36.8 to 63%. So we'd mitigate additional 50% of the incoming damage if you do the math. Since you're taking 40% instead of 70% of the damage. It's not quite 50%. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Fiber doesn't count for shields, though, so we're automatically kicking that out. And since we're mostly sitting on shields, we probably don't care about Umbral Vitality either. Umbral Intensify, honorable mention. We'll keep it around for now just because we like scaling with strength, as we have already noted in this little guy. So we like strength here, we like strength here, we like strength here. Strength is good, so let's get some strength. Next up on the list is duration. We like duration, so let's just go ahead and slot in some duration. There is a new efficiency thing that I think is probably worth thinking about because it also increases shields, and it happens to be a Vazarim slot, so let's go grab our Nira's Hate. Nope, I am wrong. Boreal's Hatred. There we go. 15% shield capacity and, or 150% shield capacity and 15% ability efficiency. So we get a little bit of efficiency here, but the big thing is we get 300 more shields, which also then increases our amount of overshields that we're allowed to have. So we are now sitting on no bonus range here, so let's go ahead and slot in a little bit of range just to get our stretch going there. And now we have a kind of a choice here. So we can say, you know, if we want just mega duration for things like Covenant, then we probably could put in something like Narrow-Minded. So Narrow-Minded is going to tank our range pretty bad. So we'd have to look at this and say, okay, well, we can only go 15 meters and it's only going to spread by 1.8. So we need to kind of solve that with another thing here. But we would have huge amounts of duration So now this is lasting for 30 seconds and 15 seconds of invulnerability. So that's worth a thought here. So if we slot that in there this way, we can solve our range issues in a couple of ways. So we can go, you know what, and we'll just slot this in here for now, and we can shift in later. So we've got 29 left to work with. Obviously, we're not going to fit everything, but hey, that's what Reform is for. So let's look at range. So we've got Auger Reach, which is the first and obvious choice. There's Cunning Drift if you don't quite care about getting all the way up to max. I think we do, though. I think we are going to want to get slightly positive here. So let's go with 109% range. That gives us 21 meter and 2.75. There's some thought here that narrow-minded isn't actually our friend, and we may want to get our, you know, duration and range separately here. So of note, if we drop this, Condemn has a just absolutely massive 35 meter with a 4 meter chaining, which can be very, very nice. However, if things are stacked up, you know, close to each other, so we can try this. We can try this. Strength. We could get a couple more things on strength. Easiest choices are obviously to go with something like Transient Fortitude if we want a lot of strength. Having a bigger energy pool seems like it might be useful for things like Thurible to work with. So possibly moving Stretch down here, moving Prime Flow in there, and then just leaving our efficiency at 115%. That actually seems decent. We can also just put Streamline in. I like the idea of Prime Flow, so let's go ahead and do that, see how we're doing on stuff. We got 11 left, which will bring us a little bit of strength here. So I think what we're already looking at is likely we're going to want at least one more dash, and Umbral Intensify being 14% more strength than regular Intensify means we could put an Umbral Forma in there, or we could just go with the standard Intensify and put a V in there. And that would save us, so that would go down to 6, so that would save us 2 capacity over the Forma losses here. I'm not too worried about the fact that Harrow Prime is a Prime, so putting an Umbra Forma doesn't hurt too bad. We get an Umbra Forma every 8 weeks. It will be more than 8 weeks for the next Prime, so not a terrible choice there. That being said, our other major options for our final slot here are things like, so if we look at strength, for example, spelling wrong, strength. We cannot put another hatred in, by the way. They are link locked. I don't know why. That actually doesn't make sense to me. They're different sets, and I could see why they wouldn't want that to be the case if there wasn't already a precedent for being able to put all the carapaces. So you could put Saxum, Carapace, and oh, what's the other one? Carnus, Carapace, stuff like that, or at least you used to be able to. Yeah, you can still put 2 Carapaces, and they're 2 different sets with the same name. So, not really sure why the hatreds are blocked, but they are. Okay, back to strength. So options are Blind Rage. We can tank efficiency. That seems bad. We can go with Transient Fortitude. That takes a little bit of duration. Doesn't seem too bad, but for this particular instance, I think we're probably just looking at Augur Secrets as a get yourself up to 68, and that's reasonable. We could go a little higher with something like Power Drift. That would get us to, let's see, 183 after all things are said and done. So that is a reasonable first choice. So we've got something like this sitting as a possibility for us. We can also dump Narrow-Minded and have it look something like this. So I've got energy siphon in here, which is probably unnecessary, but again, probably don't care about what's in there. So if we say, I'll put corrosive projection in there. You got our power drift, so we get the 183 prime continuity. Still the Boreal's Hatred. We've got 2 stretches in there, so now we've got nice big range and efficiency. We stuck Streamline in there instead of Prime Flow, but it'd be an easy swap in for that, so we could easily just go boop, and drop that in there, have a little bit more energy. Then we just got the 3x augers just to keep things moving along with duration, strength, and a little bit of range. So, couple of possibilities there. I do like having efficiency lower in this case. Other possibilities, by the way, are actually putting auger something. Auger Accord. I don't often use it, but it's some shield capacity, and you get the ability converted to shields. You could also just put Prime Figure in there, get 220%. I don't think we need it. I think 900 shields is plenty. I think Boreal's Hatred is just doing some interesting things for us from the standpoint of having the airborne Bornoscope. That being said, I see a lot of dashes going on in all these builds, so let's go ahead and put in a dash. So if we do that, even in this build right here, we'll have enough space. As we'll save 4, we can put 7 up there. And if we do a little bit more, we could put more. So if I switch these this way, go back, by the way, you have to kind of go back. If you're going to put a format in and you've switched something in your non-active configuration, it will reset, which will screw up everything. So I think we are actually just going to go ahead and put a single umbral mod in here, just because the Intensify is 44% for free. And I say free because if you look at something like Narrow-Minded, you're only getting 33% of a stat, because it's plus 99 minus 66, so it's plus 33% there. If you look at Transient Fortitude, you're getting 27.5% of a stat. So even something like Augur Secrets is 24% base, but it doesn't have a negative. So Augur Secrets isn't, if you want duration, if you want positive duration, you're going to have to make up for that negative loss in another mod slot. So Augur Secrets is almost as good as Transient Fortitude because of that. So having 44% for free is pretty nice. The tower resistance is fine. It really doesn't matter. So let us polarize a bit here. We're going to go ahead and drop in one of our 2 current umbral formas into that. And that gives us 8 slots, so now we can do our... we also have these, so... and, you know... these are fine. Lasting Covenant is amusing, but I don't think we're going to worry about it right now. Right now, we're just doing very, very basic build here. So let's throw in a power drift. Now we've got 183% with 250% of that. So hooray, hooray. And because I am beyond MR30, all my stuff stays rank 3, which is very cool, so we can test everything without worrying about loss of efficiency here. I do think the range bonus is going to be a problem, and I don't know that we particularly need our duration to be over 200%. So Narrow-Minded might pop out. We might just move to something a little bit more like this, go to nearly 200%, but that still gives us 20 seconds and 10 seconds. But let's try it as is first. This is the one we built on the recording, so we're going to try it. And that is good enough to start with. Precision is going to give us some pistol damage. Let's go ahead and equip ourselves a Nell, just because it's it's gun. Just a quick note: we've got some sort of reasonable build here. This is by no means necessary, but they gave us a prime with full resume disposition again. So I don't know if that's a bug or if they're going to take it back away, but right now we're building into pretty much just doing some heat damage and trying to get our crits to red percents without doing anything else other than headshots with galvanized crosshairs and the crit Fibonacci plus creeping bullseye here. So that should do us some things. Our magazine is 2 because we're Harrow, and our damage should be insane. We also have a 10 at Livia. It's just there to do some damage. Yeah, it's a hybrid build. This thing happens to have heavy attack efficiency, so yeah, we're just sticking with it. It's fine. For that, let's go ahead and switch to Zeneric. Make sure our heavy attack efficiency is maxed out. We're leveling a frame, so we don't have to worry too much about how many things we've got equipped, but we'll leave primary off for now. And I think that pretty much covers it. So before we move out, let's you know what? Let's go ahead and do a test. So we're going to set it to solo mode. Go find ourselves a Steel Path Exterminate mission in the Void. That seems fine. And remember, this is before we've traded anything in with Helmut, but we wanted to see how everything works before we do. Alright, off we go.
Use all that you have learned.
Okay, got a little bit of a start there.
Or the tenor.
Yep. Super amounts of energy going on right now. We missed. So we don't appear to need anything except for healing on the Stitch, which we will do. That's fine. Alright. So far, so good. We have no overshield, so we'll just want to watch that. Managed to not hit his head on either of those shots. Let's finish that off real quick. Thurible is almost over, so we'll refresh it pretty soon here. We missed, that's great. How did that not hit? Okay, let's get ourselves 30 energy per kill. Alright.
Transference still holding.
Bunch of guys down there. That seems weird. And we died. thermal going. Let's get up to 30. Seems good. Somehow that wasn't a headshot. That was. Okay. Let's go ahead and use our thingy here. Come on, hurt me plenty. That's right. Come to Papa. Not a hero player, honestly. This is fine. Get some durable nonsense going on. Remember to get my set going. The whole aiming with third or aiming with Nell thing is significantly impacting my ability to remember to do things like survive. Yep, alright. Easy mode activated. Give me all my energy back. Alright, you're dead. Alright. Let's make myself invulnerable here. Well, that seems like an obvious way to finish those guys off. Yep, give me some steel essence. Thank you. Please drive through. Alright, so idiot player can figure it out eventually. All you gotta do is spam 1 for when you need it. Everybody's happy. Okay. Okay, so shields are a bit of an interesting point here. I think this may just be something that I just need to get more used to doing. I don't play a lot of shield frames. So having 120 health is exciting, we'll say. Can we just keep hitting these same guys? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, that's fine. But hitting new people does good. We get our energy back. You know, technically we could put adaptation in this build. Adaptation does work on shields. Oh, let's try it again. Alright, fine, we'll do the cheat away. Okay. Got shields, we've still got 50 seconds left on this nonsense. How is none of that a headshot? Oh, I forgot. There's that bug every time you go into an operator mode. Okay, well, maybe by the time you guys see this video, it'll be fixed, but for now, the nail is broken, and if you go into the operator, you no longer get the passive effect. Alright, so our code is working for the most part. But you're having to be relatively careful with health, since that has been going very poorly. So I think something like Prime Vigor actually helps a little bit. Obviously, it would also help you rank 30. Also, you can hold a fight. It wasn't going to be it. But those things aside, we do have a couple of things that can give us a slightly easier means of survival here. Alright, that makes us feel good. It was a headshot. It just... Okay, we get all our stuff back. Oh, while we're thinking about it, let's go ahead and get ourselves another minute or two of crazy kill. That nonsense.
Enemy is broken. Well done. Now get to extraction.
Plus 50% critical chance. Joe, look at that. Craziness. Oh dear. Alright, well, let's get this guy to show up again. Go vulnerable. At the very least, it does seem to be a very effective way of acolytes, as you can simply ignore everything they do. Alright, well, let's get out of here. We have a ton of crit chance. But none of it matters because we're leaving. Okay, so
Very good.
we learned some things. And that's the mechanics of a basic build, everybody. If you look at what they do, what you want to do with it, and then kind of move on from there, that gives us a testing thing. If you made it through to the end here, thank you very much for staying. We'll do a little bit of bonus content here at the end to go poke at some helmet things, give a couple of suggestions for things that I think might go well in various builds. So, oh, you can remove assist early now. That's cool. Let's go ahead and do that. Hooray! Look at that. We learned something today. That is my motto. So that's great. And now, for the thing I was actually going to do, which is, let's go look at possibilities here. So, we've got Airburst that is not as useful as it could be because we've already got some pretty good CC. Aqua Blades is trash, as we all know. It might be better later, but we just don't need it right now. Banish doesn't really do anything that Condemn doesn't already do. Blood Altar is an interesting one because you can actually heal yourself, but I think you have such low base health anyway that that's not going to help. Breach Surge, again, CC condemns our ability. Decoy is trash. Defy, we don't really need armor because armor only works on health damage. Desiccation, CC, we've already got it. Dispensary is okay, but we have Thurible. Eclipse is an interesting one just because we have strength and duration. which is all the things that this does, and that just increases our damage. The problem with Eclipse here is that we already do so much damage by just having all the crit chance that I don't know that we need Eclipse. But, honorable mention. It's never, if you've got strength and duration, Eclipse is never bad. Elemental Ward could have some interesting possibilities here, going with something like the Heat. Give yourself actual health bonuses. It would be lasting for about a minute, and we would have, some increases there. So that's kind of a good possibility there. And power is okay, but we don't care. Energized magicians again probably don't matter. Ensnare, more CC, expedite suffering, don't really need. Fire blast would be an okay way to strip armor, and that's about all it does. Armor reduction is capped at 75, so it's not gonna do much there. Oh, well, I mean, it's not gonna do anything, but it is just pure damage and some armor strip there. Firewalker is just a way to move faster. Gloom is actually probably the first one that I would say is pretty reasonable, since you could slow people down in a decent range around you to help you get those condemned procs off. It is CC layering, but it's a 360 effect, so if somebody's coming up behind you, that does give you a little bit more time to react. Beyond that, nothing else is really looking. Null Star could potentially do things because you have duration, so that would be a thing you could have, except for the fact that you would probably want to put the augment on it, which takes up a slot. Petrify is fine. Pillage is potentially very, very, very good in terms of just getting overshields and the ability to kind of spam that. It does conflict a little bit with Condemn, except for the fact that Pillage works as an armor strip as well. So that's pretty cool. And you can condemn things only once to get the shield bonus, whereas you can continually pillage to do that. So I think pillage is probably the strongest choice for just getting more shields quickly and staying on top of that. So I would do something like pillage with adaptation if you wanted to tank without having to use condemn, or without having to use covenant. So I think we've got Pillage, we've got Gloom, and we've got Eclipse as decent possibilities. Reeve is fine, but I don't think you need it. Because again, it's healing. We don't have much health. Nothing else is, I mean, obviously Roar exists, something like Warcry exists, Vile Rush exists, but those are all things that you can just kind of slot into any frame and just use as is. So I think honestly the most interesting one to me is probably putting Pillage in and getting rid of Penance so we never kill our own shields. And we'll try that on configuration A. And just go look at the stats real quick and then we'll close out the video. And if you remember, the thing about Pillage is that it actually scales more off of duration than it does off of range, so we can have 109% range and have our Pillage go pretty stinking far because it lasts for 5 seconds. So it'll go about 40 meters out since it goes 8.72 per second. You can recall it at any time. It drains for 45%, so we might want to actually do something like up our strength, which again, if narrow-minded is not the ultimate focus here, you can do something like put in Prime Vigor there, and we can now drop range to just a single mod and add in something like Augur message. Get ourselves 179 duration, so that still lasts for 20 seconds and 10 seconds. It seems good. Thurible still lasts for 62 seconds. Zero buff for a really long time. That still lasts for 3 seconds. That seems fine. And now we've got 29 and 3.3. So those are all pretty good still. So I don't think your duration or your range has to be that crazy, but your duration seems to be pretty nice at that point. You could also just drop stretch entirely and add in something like a another strength booster. You could do a grand switcheroo and put in something like transient fortitude to try to get a little bit more strength in there. I'm not real excited about the shenanigans required to get that to work, because I think you would have to do something like drop in. Oh, we would have to drop a lot to get to transient fortitude. So I think this is probably a reasonable walking around build, getting yourself a bunch more shields, decent amount more health, so you've got a little bit more time to react to things. You can also just drop Prime Vigor and put in Adaptation. Get yourself some resistances along with that. Choices. Choices exist. So, all in all, hopefully that gave you guys some ideas on how to build, how to run. And yeah, I guess we'll stick with the tried and true. Hope everybody learned something. If you didn't learn anything, hope you at least had fun. Thanks for sticking around if you made it to the end of the video. And catch you guys on the next one.